Hey people, the other day when we cured the campfire ovens, everyone asked how we keep the rust off of them and that sort of stuff, right? So look, this is the campfire oven that we cooked the silver side in. I took this home, right, and washed this with hot water. So as you can see, it's still really good inside. And what I did though is, you know how you get that olive oil in the little aerosol tin? After you wash it and you wipe it out, just give it a quick spray with that and it seals it perfect. And then what you do is, when you clean the lid, just to spray with the olive oil, and what it does is it seals it and no water gets in on it again. See, I mean, we've got this for bloody, I don't know how many years, but it's gonna do the job, you know. We're now going to go and set up the cooking. So this is the little campsite that we're allowed to use with permission. Thank you very, very much to the owner. First thing we're gonna do is we need to get some dry material so that we can light this fire. So I'll just show you this in here when I go over here. This stuff is really flammable. Yeah, so I think with bracken fern, so what'll happen is, see how this is all really dry? Perfect for lighting a fire with. So what we'll do is we'll just head over here now. I'll just go and grab some matches. All right, so there's the little axe. This is our campfire tool for the camp oven. We're also gonna make another loaf of bread today, but I'm not gonna forget to put the yeast in this time. It's slightly embarrassing. All right, now this is the wood we left the other day. This has dried out a bit, so we'll use this for kindling, all right? All right, so we've got enough kindling there. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put a bigger bit of wood down, probably like that. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bunch up the coals there. Now, obviously when you build this fire, you start off with the smallest, most flammable stuff on the bottom like that. And then this dry stuff here, we'll put on top just to get a bit of heat into it. We'll take the stems out from there. Want to get a fair bit of heat into this early so we can get it fired up, you know. Slightly bigger bits on top like that. And now what we'll do is this, right, like that. When this burns down, there's going to be a little bit of a gap between this big lump of wood and these small lumps. I'm just going to crisscross this across the top and just leave plenty of room for it to get some flames in between all the wood and that, you know. Hopefully it'll have enough heat in it to kick off. We'll just put a few of the bigger bits on top. All right, let's see if this works. Get in there, come on. Usually if you've got a bit of a wind blowing this way, start your fire from this side so the wind blows on the flame for you and gets the fire going for you without any effort from your end, mate, you know. So with all that smoke there, fam, that actually hasn't even hit the main part of it in here. But I think we got it right that time. And the good thing about this is, when this takes over, I can just shift the coals over and push that lump of wood to the edge. Righty, I need this wood to drop now. That's it. Well done. Good work. Lovely. Yeah. You can see all the sap coming out of the wood and all the gases and that sort of stuff. That's really good. So now what I've done with that heat that I've put in with the bracken fern underneath all this wood and that sort of stuff, the wood's now contacting it. All right, I don't know whether you can see the flames coming out of that fire, but that's good. Righty-o. So what we need to do, get that in there, get a bit of that in there. Nice, it's kicked in, fam. Lovely. Well, actually, now what we'll do, we'll put the thinner stuff on there. Nice work. So what we did is we used the wood that was left in the tire rim the other day. Because it had been burnt a bit, all the sap and gases and that had been taken out, it had dried up properly, so that's why it's ticking over now. Beautiful. Right, now we'll get some thicker stuff in here. So what we've got, most of the kindling and that going this way, what we're going to do now is we're going to put these thicker bits across it, right like that. By doing that, when that all starts to catch on fire and it starts to drop down, it's going to be a bit more even. Now, another one in there. Beautiful. Just let that kick in and we'll be laughing. The only time you smother it is when you don't leave any air for it. So this is like lattice in there. I've got a minimum gap of like 1/2 inch between all the wood. And what's going to happen is now that's going to really start getting some heat into the core of it. And then the whole lot's going to catch on fire. Then what we'll do is we'll put some wood around the outside, just some smaller bits so it keeps going. And then we'll start cooking. Something primal about being around a fire, isn't there? That's ticking over beautifully. You wait until you see how much heat comes out of this fire in a minute, famo. And as always, the smoke follows the non-smoker. Get out of it. See all the flames coming out of that, fam? No petrol needed. This is my one-handed axe, fam. I've been using this. This is a good friend of mine. I've had it since I was about 6 years old. I even chop the big stuff with this. All right, so what we'll do is, we want most of the coals to form in here, but we're also going to need a little bit on the edge here as well, all right? No, that's too big. That'll do for that. Now, I'll show you what we've done. So if you have a look in here, famo, see how we've left the gap between the wood? See all these flames are racing up between the wood now? It wasn't being smothered at all. It was all part of the plan. So now what's going to happen is the smallest piece are going to burn first, and then what they're going to do from there is they're going to drop down, and we're going to have a nice level fire that we can put our campfire oven on. Let me give you another bit of advice, famo. If you ever go camping and you've got people that rock up with beer in cans and that sort of stuff, it's much like having a cup that's made out of stainless steel. Remember, we're in Australia, you can't see through metal, and we have lots of little bites like wasps and bees. And if you've got someone that's allergic to bees and one falls into a can that's, you know, either beer or lemonade or whatever, and someone drinks it, your camping trip's over, and worse still, their life. So unless you can see what you're drinking in a clear plastic bottle or clear glass stubby or whatever, always get into the habit when you're camping to drink out of a cup or a glass. Got to be able to see what you're drinking. So many people make that mistake. Cheers. This wind has picked up at the right time. See how you can't really see the smoke on it? That's because the wind's picked up. We've got this northwesterly today, but all that's going to do is draw all the fire and that to the top through the wood, and that'll be cooking soon, no dramas. Okay, what we might do is make a loaf of bread now. We'll get that rising while this fire's kicking in. What we're going to do is we're going to oil the camp ovens, get them ready. Once they're done, they're out the way. All right, let's get the ingredients for bread. All right, fam, so let's just make this loaf of bread now, eh? As you can see, we've got all the lupins behind it, which is a nice little touch, you know? So quite simple. When you're making your bread and that sort of thing, you got to remember, it sticks to metal much like glue. All right, so a little bit of oil in there, like so. Right, put that around and then put your water in. What we're going to do is I've just put a little bit of oil in here. I'm going to use this, okay, to just coat the camp oven before we cook with it. And that's actually picked up on a bit of the heat from the fire, which is good. These things are awesome. Let's get a bit more in here. Right, do the edges with the olive oil on the camp oven. So this is like a $4 spatula from Coles. Right, and try and leave it out of the sun so that the oil doesn't drain down from the edge. So that's the first one done. Beautiful. That's what the bread's going to go in. We'll just put this in the shade for now, underneath the back of the car. Then what we'll do is we'll get the big one like that. Now that's the heat from the sun that's heating these up. So, you know, they do draw a fair bit of heat from whatever source it is. Right, so we just oiled the top of the camp oven. Chuck that down there. What we're going to do, take the trivet out. That's the trivet. This has got a non-stick material, so that's going to work regardless. See, that's the pot that we seasoned the other day. So what you do, start in the middle and just work out in slightly bigger circles. And then what you do the edge of the camp oven. Put a bit more in there. And then what you want to do is you want to always coat the side of the camp oven as well, because if you don't, if meat touches the side of the camp oven, it'll stick and burn. There we are. Nice. So basically what's happened is now we've coated the camp oven with the olive oil. That can go down here now. Got to try and keep your utensils clean at all times, fam. So what I did is I just wipe that with a cloth. Right. There we are. Nice. So, bit of oil. Like that. We're going to put 430 mils of water in there, straight out of the bottle. So 430 mils of water like that. Now I'm going to start putting some flour in here as well, so I'm going to dry this measure cup before I do that. Okay, so now, a little bit of baking powder, like that. A little bit of salt. If you want your bread to come out a bit crustier, just put a bit more salt in it, fam. There we are. A little bit of sugar for the yeast, so about a teaspoon. If you want it to rise quicker, well, you put a bit more in, don't you? Good work. Now, that's a hair. That's not mine, obviously. Definitely not my hair. And now what we're going to do is this, about 4 cups of plain flour, but obviously you've got to sort of figure out the ratio of your water to flour and all that. A little bit on the edge, like that. All right, that's a couple of cups of flour in there. Let's get a couple more. Like that. Beautiful. Now, let me show you a little trick. When you're working with dough, you think that's glue. This is the spatula. So what I'll do, a little bit of oil. It doesn't matter if it goes into your bread. Coat the spatula with some olive oil, and that'll stop your dough and your pastry and that sticking to the spatula and making a big blob. All right, working from the middle, just press down in the middle a few times and get it all to mix. And see how I've got a little bit of it on there? If I didn't put the olive oil on it, it'd be a right mess. Spilt a bit, doesn't matter. Oh, I did it again. Luckily it's not mixed in yet. If you're going to make bread, you need yeast. Right, so let's mix this in there. Now see how we've got a little bit of flour down the bottom but not mixing in? Just needs a little bit of water. Just a touch, not too much. All right, come on, get in there. And we're just making this on the back of our tailgate on our utility, famo. Campfire cooking's good like that. You don't have to worry about trying to get too fancy now. So what we've got here now is we've got a little bit of a dough or whatever starting to get a bit sticky. I think that's a pretty good mix with the water to flour. Just a little bit of oil now. Make sure your hands are clean. And now what we can do is, by putting a little bit of oil around it, what it should start to do is it should start to form like a little ball, right? And see the edge of the stainless steel, how it's clean. There's no like flour sticking to it or whatever. I haven't cooked with sourdough for a long time, mate, but you need to get the cure or the proof or whatever it's called, you know. Now, that's not too bad, but it's a little bit sticky for my liking. I reckon it just needs a little bit more flour and we're good to go. There we go, that's better. Now we're getting there. Yeah, that's better. That's going to be okay. Now what we're going to do is this. Right, we've got our oil in the camp oven, right in the middle of it, okay? So, I'll show you the trick that makes the bread go golden, fam. Just a little bit of olive oil, right like that. Remember, campfire cooking? Gordon Ramsay will never watch this stream, so he's not going to go off his head at me. And what we're going to do now is leave that in there. Good. Remember, when you've got oil on there, right, anything that you put on the oil, that'll stick to it because the flour's absorbing it. So I'm going to put a bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. That's all the seasoning you need when you camp, fam. You know, it's not 5-star. So this is a mixture of peppercorns in there. Rightio. So what we've got in here, fam, now is this. We're nearly ready to rock, so see that? We've got the loaf of bread. We've just seasoned it with a bit of salt and pepper on the oil on top of it, right? So what we're going to do now is we're going to bring this out in the sun. We're going to let this rise out in the sun with the lid on it. Right. Still a bit hot to cook with. Just going to have to wait for it to sort of drop down a bit and all that sort of stuff, but there's some beautiful heat coming out of that. All right, I'll just show you the West Australian Jarrah, how it forms really good charcoal. See all that flame coming through there? Absolutely beautiful. Jarrah doesn't leave too much powder and that sort of stuff. The fine stuff, it's mainly just good solid coals, and it generates a lot of heat for the size of the wood and that sort of stuff. If you've got any old truck rims lying around, famo, one of the best things to have a campfire with, and if you get yourself one of those old sort of like metal saws from the mills, chuck that on top, you got one of the best camping like hot plates out there, you know. So you could put like a wrought iron mesh over this, or you could put like a flat plate. Either way, you'd still be able to cook really well with a camp oven, you know. So we might try that next time. Right. Now, the piece de resistance. Let's see how this bread's coming along. That's starting to tick over nice, fam. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in the sun. I'm going to let this campfire oven start to heat up. You don't want that to ferment, but with the yeast in it and that sort of stuff, that will start to kick in. I'll just put it a bit closer to the fire. We want that to sort of double in size before we put it in the fire on the coals, so we'll get that sorted. Okay, so we've got a spot here that I can plonk that little camp oven right here in between the two little rivets there on the inside of the rim. And then what we can do is by the time we get the chicken sorted out, we should have a little bit more drop down there as well. All right, now we need to get this chook ready. Is that better? Oh, that's going to work like that. Let's just check that that's better. Is that better? Okay, so what we want to do, make them roughly the same size there. I'll just go and get the chook now. Best before the 12th. Today's the 14th. She'll be right. I hope it'll be all right. Yeah, it smells like chicken. Nothing on it's blue, which is good. So, quite a simple process. So, let's take that out of there. A little bit more oil, and then what we're going to do is we're just going to coat that on the bottom like that. Because we got the oil on there, the pepper's going to grab, and so is the salt. There we are. And now what we're going to do is just going to flip that over. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to stuff the chook. Easiest way to stuff the chook, just get one apple down there like that. Right, get the other apple down there like that, and that'll keep the cavity. Now, if you're going to cook a chicken on a campfire oven, do it with the capsule facing up so it traps all the moisture in the chicken when you're cooking it. So now what we're going to do, a bit of oil again. Right, most of this is going to drain off. Where you put the oil, the chicken's going to go a nice golden brown. Beautiful. So we got that in there nicely. And now what we're going to do is the tricky little part I was going to show you. Right, now, what we'll do is just stick the knife underneath the skin of the chook. What you do, just poke a blueberry under there. Right, like that. See that? Just poke it underneath the skin. So just a little incision like so. Just get a little blueberry under there like that. So what this is going to do, while the chicken's cooking, you're going to have something sweet underneath the skin like this. So I haven't seen many other places do it. And berries and that sort of stuff are an absolute power-packed nutrient. Got lots of stuff in there that make you feel good about yourself, you know? Right. Wee. Cheeky bugger trying to escape like that. Don't you dare. You get back in there, sunshine. You go and do your job. You go and sweeten this chicken up for everyone. This is going to look nothing like this when it's finished, fam. I mean, you can marinate with them and that, but I just chuck them under the skin. As the skin roasts and juices start mixing in with the blueberries, what it does is it starts to make a really nice sort of coating on the skin, mate. It just tastes awesome. And when you're camping, anything like this is like Mr. Whippy turning up, you know? Rightio. So, now, we've got the punnet of blueberries underneath the skin. Now what I'll do is I'll show you how to layer the camp oven. So, in here, we put the trivet down. We put the spuds down. Oh, it's got a bit of a blemish. I don't eat that. No, green spuds, bad. Right, just check that. So what's going to happen is, right, we don't want the spuds touching the edge of the camp oven. All right, now what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to wash this. Although, chicken on there, but it doesn't matter. Right, let me clean that. Can't beat fresh spud out of the ground. Cannot beat it. You just rip them out of the ground, the skin peels off. Very, very simple seasoning, fam. Just olive oil, bit of salt, pepper, chili. That's all you need. Don't need to go stupid. So get a nice, reasonably flat bed there. Great. When you put the chicken on there, it's going to push them out. Now, let's get this in here. Ah, look at that. Now, that's a bit of a problem because of the height of the lid. Let's just move them out a bit. That's a bit better. It's still going to be off the bottom as well, but the spuds are going to touch the edge of the thing. That's life. So, what we've got there now, we've got our blueberry chicken. What about me? So, okay, nice. A little bit of salt just to mix in there. If you want to be really sneaky, fam, get yourself some sweet wine with a bit of honey and you make up a glaze. About 15 minutes before it cooks, you pour it over the top. A little bit of pepper, nothing too fancy, fam. Beautiful. Now remember, you've got to cook it with the cavity of the chicken facing up. Oh, that's not touching. Nice. All right, fam, let's get this show on the road. So, famo, let's see what we've got going on here. Yeah, beautiful coals from the jarrah. Look at that. So let me show you what we're trying to achieve here, fam. So what I want to do, right, is I want to get this fire bed fairly level, see? So what I'm doing is I'm just tapping down that wood. Right, now that's the big one that we started the fire on there, so we're going to leave that, bring that in the corner. And what we want these nice coals. You don't want it too hot. If you've got it too hot, you'll burn your food. All right, so we've got the chicken on there. Then what we're going to do is we're going to put that bread in there. Now see here, you've got to remember important things. We're going to turn this camp oven to cook it different ways. See the 4 points of the camp oven? Right, you've got that one there that the handle's on. You've got this one here, this one here, this one here. What you do is when you're working with the camp oven, you'll always have one area that's hotter than the other. So every half hour, give it a quarter turn. So in half an hour, that goes here. Another half hour, it goes there. Another half hour, it goes there. And the chicken should be done. We're still waiting for this bread. Oh no, that's all right. It's starting to spread out, starting to get a bit higher, which is good. We'll give that about 2 turns of that, then we'll whack it in there to cook fresh. Ideally, you always want to pick up the camp oven away from you like that, especially if there's a bit of fire coming out of it and that sort of thing. A lot of people will pick up a camp oven like this, and if you've got the fire taking off, it's going to burn your legs. Right, I always pick it up like that, and I always step back like that. So let's just leave in there for a bit more. We'll just tidy up a bit. That's heating up well. You can hear the spuds and the meat starting to whistle. Good. Right, that's starting to rise up really nice now, fam. Good. Give that another hour and we're cooking with gas. Or wood. Sorry, not gas. What am I saying? The thing is too, famo, when you put a camp oven down, and if you've got no wood on there, you've got coals, it'll keep the heat in and cook slowly, but sometimes, you know, it might get a little bit on the warmer side rather than the hotter side. So then what you do, like I've just done here, just chuck a few bits of wood down, get them burning, like that, beautiful. When you've got redder coals here, swap it over, put the bread there. You can mix it up and do quite a lot of things, famo. So this bits of wood that we put down here have already started catching a light, got a bit of extra heat. That's going to be absolutely perfect for this when it starts to come into it, you know. The other thing you do too is you like fill it up with wood and put like the grill over it or the hot plate and then just cook on top of that, but this is far more fun, you know. Now we got sizzling. It's getting warmer though. Good. Righto fam, it's time. So we've given everything a half hour. That bread's risen beautifully. Nice. Some beautiful hot coals on here now. Nice. Whoa, I think she's getting cooked, fam. Look at that blueberry. The skin has split. Wow. All right. Now I'm just going to go and get a cloth, and what we're going to do is we're going to shift that over now to here, right? And then we're going to put the bread in there to cook straight away. Now I'm very, very happy with how this has turned out, famo. And what we've got here is we have got a lot of coals. Just a little bit of that wood on there made all the difference before. Now what we're going to do is, I need to turn that again. Right, we've got some nice cooked spuds in there. Look at that chicken, how it's turned out, famo. Look at how the blueberries have made the skin all blue. Right, I've got to do this. I can't help myself. Let's do this. Ready? Oh, yeah. Oh, look at that. Oh. 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 Now what we're going to do is we're going to put the bread down like that on some nice hot little coals. And I reckon we'll be done soon, famo. All right, fam. So we've got the bread cooking in there. So I've taken this off the heat. I think you could say that's perfect. Yeah, that is perfect. Righto, fam, cast your eyes on this. This chicken's been cooked absolutely to perfection, famo. So check this out. There you go, so check that out, right? Absolutely perfect. Even the skin's fallen away. We've got all the stuffing in there, everything. Look at that. So let's tuck in for a bit of lunch, shall we? So now what we're going to do is, we're going to do it justice. All right, we're going to grab a couple of little spuds out. Oh, let's grab 4 spuds. Now what happens? I didn't even have to cut it, fam. What happens with this chicken is the blueberries stain it blue. That's come out perfect. Look at all the moisture still in that. Look at that drizzling down the fork. Let's take a few blueberries out of there. Right, like that. This just keeps all the moisture in the chicken, fam. Look at that. That's just peeled off. Look, that's just peeled off. Didn't even have to cut it. Sensational, fam. Oh, and it's sweet. This is actually really sweet. To give you an idea of how well done the spuds are, look at this. You can mash them with the fork. Look. Came out as mash when I pressed the fork in there. Those blueberries have put a really sweet flavour through that chicken. Good stuff. Oh, even the legs are falling off. Just falling apart at the bone, fam. Don't even have to cut it. When you can pull the meat off the bone like that, you know that it's cooked properly, fam. Don't even have to use the knife. We'll just see how this bread turns out, eh? Right, let's just clean our plate. Now I need to make sure that bread's not burning. Not at all. Absolutely perfect, fam. That's coming up perfect. That's coming up beautifully. Fantastic. Now, famo, check this out. You ready with this? Who's ready to check the bread out with me? Check this out. Have a look at this. Do you reckon that campfire bread's good? Look at that. What do you reckon about that, fam? Do you reckon that's turned out okay? Look at that for a loaf of bread, eh? Cooked to perfection in the campfire, fam. Look at that. Little bit of charcoal, but we can fix that. But absolutely cooked to perfection, fam. Now, the slicing is the important. Sorry about this, famo, but I got to do this. Special little treat. A bit of a surprise. I think I've got room for a bacon sanger. Just one rasher will be enough, I think. So what we're going to do, we're going to make a little impromptu bacon sandwich. All right, so there we go. It's the beauty of campfire cooking, fam. If it's a bit singed, you just scrape it off. Just like that. Right. Okay, let's see how this is cut now, yeah? Well, there you go, fam. An absolutely perfect campsite loaf. Look at that. Cooked through to perfection. Look at that, famo. The taste on that is so much better than the bought rubbish. Look at this. Imagine that with a bit of butter on it, fam. Check that out. Look, that's steaming out of there. Look. A golden loaf. Righto, fam, we're going to do a campfire bacon. And then I'm going to cut the fat off mine, and the other I'm going to take home. See what I mean about camping, fam? Some people go, oh, camping, you get dirty and all the rest, yeah, but you don't have the same experiences that you do when you're not camping, you know? All right, so I'm going to take that out of there. Right, let's take some fat off that. I don't eat the fat off the bacon, so I'm going to show you a quick little campfire bacon, fam. Let's get that off there. All right, so the rest of the bacon can go on the chicken. Right, so that's all the fat out of that. I've got no butter by choice. The bacon by right has enough fat in it anyway, fam. All right, so what we've done, we've taken the fat off the bacon. We've cut 2 slices off the loaf, and now I'm going to sit here and be happier than a pig in poop. Right, let's grab a seat and enjoy the fruits of our labours. How good is that? The other thing is too, fam, when you're cooking cast iron and you cook it slowly, everything comes out sweet, you know what I mean? Cooking it slowly on coals like this with a camp oven draws every single last, droplet of flavour out of your food because it's not getting hammered. That's the best loaf of bread I've done ever. The chicken took 2 hours and the bread took 1 hour. It took about an hour and a bit to rise. So what you do is you cook it for half an hour, then you cover the lid with coals on top after half an hour and just cook it slow. We made the bread and then we let it rise for an hour, probably an hour and a half actually, and then we cooked it. How is everyone? Thank you very much for tuning in today. We've got a editor now that's editing all of our content that's going to get ready for YouTube. So if you could go and follow on the YouTube channel, that would be greatly appreciated. We're going to start ramping up the content now, people. We're going to go back to daily fishing streams. Thank you very, very much for tuning in today. We're going to be doing a lot more content. We're going to upping the ante on the platform, and we will be doing some more Australis TV content. Thanks for tuning in. Be good, and I'll see you soon. Every day is a good day, mate, when you're breathing and you're alive.